Good evening to all. Welcome to Infosys Coding Round Training, Day 6. So, hope you are all doing well. Your preparation is also going well. So, hope you got some idea the kind of questions that will be asked in Infosys examination. Okay, so and what are the topics that are need to be prepared? Okay, like arrays, strings, greedy algorithms, okay, greedy technique, greedy approach, problems related to greedy approach, and dynamic programming problems, trees and graphs problems. These topics mainly you need to cover. So definitely that will fetch you in the examination. And don't depend for the code on ChatGPT. Okay, so even if it takes 1 hour or 2 hours, you generate the code based on your logic. Okay, because the kind of question that will be asked in the examination is entirely new. Okay, so it cannot be found in the internet. Okay, so a new problem will be asked in the examination which is not available in the internet. Okay, so that's why you need to generate the code on the spot for such problems. Okay, so if you practice for these problems, okay, so if you practice writing your own code and executing and making your code to uh, get through with all the test cases. Okay, so until then rigorously you need to work out on your code. Okay, so before that, as I said, you need to work out generating the logic on paper. Okay, so if you generate the logic on the paper, that means mapping the input to output from the given test cases. Okay, so if you can generate from input test case, if you can generate the output, then you are getting the logic. Okay, so you are building the logic of that logic, afterwards you can convert into program. Okay, so that logic conversion into program, that is also very important. Okay, so if you start writing on your own, then you will come to know how to implement this default dictionary, or how to implement a ordinary dictionary, how to access elements inside the dictionary. All these things you will come to know, and it becomes easy to implement those data structures in the examination. So if you depend on the ChatGPT, so ChatGPT gives you an executable code, no doubt, okay, but uh, you don't know why the code is written. Okay, so you need to walk through the code, and you need to understand the code. Instead of that, if you generate code on your own, then it would be better. That takes you to the next level in the process. Okay, so let us start today's session. So today we'll work out with one problem related to arrays. Okay, so the problem is generating the maximum integer. Okay, so you are given an integer n. Okay, so an integer n is given to you, a zero based integer array nums. Okay, so nums is the array name here. Okay, so zero based integer array nums of length n plus 1. What is the length of this num? It is n plus 1 length. Okay, so E generated following the rules. Okay, so the rules are given here. As per those rules, the array nums is generated. Okay, so let us look out what are those rules. Then the first rule is nums of 0 is 0. Nums of 1 is 1. Okay, so that means the first two elements are 0 and 1 in that array. Okay, so then nums of 2 into I, okay, is equals to nums of I when 2 into I is between 2 and n. Okay, so the value of this 2 into I is between 2 and I. That means 2 into I value should be greater than or equal to 2 and should be less than or equal to n. Okay, so if this condition is satisfied, then nums of 2 into I. Okay, so this is from third element onwards, we follow these rules. Okay, the first two elements are 0 and 1. This we should understand. Okay, so nums of 0 is 0 and nums of 1 is 1. Okay, so then nums of 2 into I, from third element onwards we'll follow this. Okay, so 2 into I means this is nothing but a even index element. Okay, right, so it is nums of I. The value of this will be nums of I if 2 into I is between 2 into n. Okay, then nums of 2 into I plus 1. Okay, so this is 2 into I plus 1 actually. 2 into I plus 1. Okay, so let me just modify this. Okay, better before we proceed. It is 2 plus I. Okay, good. Okay, right. So the value nums of 2 into I plus 1. Okay, so the value of this is equals to nums of I plus nums of I plus 1. Okay, so nums of I and it's the next element nums of I plus 1 when the value of 2 into I plus 1 is between 2 and n. Okay, so if it is between 2 and l, that means 2 into I, 2 multiplied with 2 multiplied I plus 1 value. Okay, so if it is greater or equal to 2 and less than or equal to n. Okay, so then we add these two elements nums of I plus nums of I plus 1 and we'll store the result in nums of 2 into I plus 1. Okay, so these are the rules. This is how the elements in the array are generated. Okay, so what is our task? Our task is to return the maximum integer in the array nums. So we have to, if you go on generating elements in the array, okay, so then what is the maximum integer that is present in the array nums? Okay, so that maximum integer we need to generate and that value must be returned. That is the return value. Okay, so this is the given question. Okay, so for this we need to generate the logic first. Okay, so then convert this logic into code. Okay, so test cases are not available for this. Okay, so let us understand uh, from the given rules. Okay, so and let us try to generate array nums from these rules. Okay, so and we'll assume some value for n value is given to us. Okay, now let us consider one case for this. Okay, so let us take for example n value is equal to 7. Okay, so if n value is equal to 7, what should be the length of this array? It should be of n plus 1 length. Okay, so that means our array length should be nums array. Okay, so assume that this is our nums array. Okay, so its length should be 8. Okay, so that means we can store 8 elements in this array. Okay, so let me 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Okay, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so you can store 8 elements in this array nums. Okay, then the first element is 0. Okay, so nums of 0 is 0. Okay, so that is given. Then what is the second rule? Nums of 1 is equal to 1. This is also given. Nums of 1 is equal to 1. Okay, so then you have to go on generate a remaining elements in the array. Okay, so that means you need to iterate through I value. Okay, so that you can generate until the condition becomes a false. What is the condition? This condition, either 2 multiplied with I greater than 2 or 2 multiplied with I plus 1 greater than n. Okay, so until it becomes greater than n, then you should go on. That means until it is less than n, you should go on repeating and generating the elements in the nums array. Okay, so we'll start with the I value 1. Okay, so we will iterate I value as a 1. Okay, now what is the maximum value in this array now? Maximum value is 1 now. Maximum value is 1 now. Okay, so let us first generate this. I is equal to 1. Okay, so what we need to calculate the value nums of 2 multiplied by I. Okay, so nums of 2 multiplied by I, it is nothing but nums of 2 multiplied by 1. I value is 1. Okay, so this is equals to nums of 2 you will get. Okay, so what is the value of this nums of 2? As per this, nums of 2 into I. Okay, so this 2 into I value should be less than n. That you need to check here every time. Okay, so is it less than n? Is it less than n? Yes. This 2 into I value less than n? Yes. If it is less than n, then the value is equal to nums of I. Okay, so this is equal to nums of I. Okay, so it is equal to nums of I. What is I value? I value is 1. Nums of 1. Okay, so what is nums of 1? Nums of 1 is equal to 1. Okay, so this is equal to nums of 1 here. Okay, so that is nothing but 1. So what is the value of nums of 2? Nums of 2 is now 1. Now this is the new array generated. 1 is generated. Okay, so now similarly for I is equal to 1, you also calculate nums of 2 multiplied with I plus 1. This one you calculate. Okay, so it is nothing but nums of 2 multiplied by 1 plus 1. Okay, so what is this value? It is nothing but nums of so 2 plus 1 is 3. So nums of 3 value you are calculating. So how you can calculate nums of 3 here? Nums of 3 value, nums of 3 is less than 7. Yes. Okay, so then it is nothing but nums of I plus nums of I plus 1. Okay, so this can be obtained by adding nums of 1 plus nums of 2. Nums of 1 and nums of 2. So what is nums of 1? It is 1 here. Okay, so nums of 1 is 1 plus nums of 2 is also 1. So 1 plus 1 here. Okay, so this is 2. So that will be stored in a nums of 3. Okay, so for I is equal to 1, we are iterating starting from I is equal to 1 onwards. Okay, because we got a I value 1 and there is an element in this. Okay, so then nums of 2 into I, nums of 2 into I plus 1 we calculated. Okay, so after this, what is the maximum value in the I? Now the current maximum is 3 in the I. Yes or no? Okay, so then again you need to iterate. Okay, so I is equal to 2 we will take. Then again we calculate. Then say nums of 2 multiplied by I value you calculate. Okay, so what is its value? It is nothing but nums of 2 multiplied by 2. Okay, so this is nothing but nums of 4. So nums of 4 is what? As per rule, it is equal to nums of I. Okay, 4 less than 7, yes. So it is equal to nums of 2. Okay, so what is the value in nums of 2? It is equal to nums of 2. Okay, so nums of 2 is equal to 1 here. Okay, so that means what is the value stored in nums of 4? Nums of 4 contains the number 1 here. Okay, so similarly generate the next element 2 multiplied by I plus 1, like this. Okay, so this can be nums of 2 multiplied by 2 plus 1. Okay, so this is nothing but nums of 2 multiplied 2 plus 4, 4 plus 1 is nothing but 5. Okay, so how you will get nums of 5 value? What is the rule? Nums of 5 and plus nums of I plus 1. Okay, so it is nothing but nums of 2 plus nums of 3. Okay, so nums of 2 is what? It is 1. See here, nums of 2 value is 1 and the nums of 3 value is 3. So it is 1. Okay, so I think this is 2, no? 1 plus 1, 2. What we got? 2 and this is 2, I think. Nums of 2 into I is 2 only, no? Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so this is 2. This value is 2. Let me erase this. Index 3 value I return there. So this value is 2 here. 1 plus 1, 2 we got, no? Okay, so what is the maximum value now? 2 here. Okay, so it is nums of 2. Nums of 2 is 1 plus nums of 3 is 2 here. Okay, so it is 1 plus 2, that is 3. That is a 3 there. Okay, so that means what is the value stored in a nums of 5? Nums of 5, the value stored is a 3. Okay, so now update the maximum value. What is the maximum value now? Maximum value is 3 now. Okay, so then again, like this, you need to iterate. Okay, so how long we should iterate, we will see here. So I is equal to 3. Okay, so again we'll calculate here nums of 2 multiplied by I value. Okay, so this is nothing but nums of 2 multiplied by 3. Okay, so this is nothing but nums of 6 value. Okay, so this nums of 6 value is equal to what? Nums of 3. As per rule, it is equal to nums of 3. Okay, so what is the value in nums of 3? 2. Okay, so that means nums of 6 now contains the value 2 here. Okay, so we'll store 2 here. Similarly, we'll calculate nums of 2 multiplied by I plus 1 here. Okay, so this is nothing but nums of 2 multiplied by 3 plus 1. Okay, so this is nothing but nums of 7. Okay, so 7 less than or equal to 7? Yes. Okay, so now see what is the rule here. It contains length n plus 1. Okay, so given integer array n plus 1, it should contain n plus number of elements are n plus 1 here. Okay, and what is the rule here? When we use it is less than or equal to n. Okay, less than or equal to n. Okay, so in this case 7 less than or equal to n, yes, equal to n, then means we can calculate this value. Okay, so it is nothing but nums of 3 plus nums of 4. Okay, so which is equal to nums of 3 means what is the value? Nums of 3? 2 it is. Okay, so 2 plus nums of 4, 1. So 2 plus 1 is equal to 3. Okay, so that means nums of 7 now contains the value 3. So what is the maximum value? 3 only in this array. Now what is the maximum value? 3. Okay, so this value, if you return to the main function, then it prints the maximum value from this array as a 3. Okay, you cannot proceed further here. Okay, so then you cannot proceed this because already see we got nums of 7. So if I is equal to 4, if you take okay, so then 2 into I value, what happens? It is 2 into 4. Okay, so that means 8 becomes greater than 7. Okay, so that means you cannot apply these rules now. Okay, so rule 3 and rule 4 cannot be applied. Okay, so that means you should start you should stop iterating up to this point. Okay, how do we know that we should stop at this point? Okay, so how long you should repeat the loop, that you should identify from this logic. Okay, so if n is given as a 7, okay, so where we are stopping when I value is 3, we started I value from 1, and we should stop at when I value becomes 3. Okay, so until we should calculate I value equal to 3. If I value is more than 3, then you should stop. Okay, so that means you should repeat the loop until I value becomes equal to 3. So how do we get that 3? Okay, so if it is 7, then 7 by 2. Okay, so if you divide n value with 2, then you will get the result as a 3. Okay, so in Python we have two division operators. Okay, so one is a real division operator. This single slash is real division operator, and this double slash is integer division operator. Okay, so you should know which operator to be used when. Otherwise, if you use improper operator, okay, so you'll end with wrong answers. That means some of the test cases will fail. Okay, so if you know real division and integer division, okay, so it would be great. Otherwise, just see the example here. Okay, so if you write in Python 7 by 2 like this, then you will get as a, since it is real division, you will get the answer as quotient as a real number 3.5 you will get. Okay, so if you write a 7 double slash 2, okay, so then you will get the answer as a 3. Okay, so it returns, it is integer division operator. Okay, or floor division. Instead of calling it as a integer division, you can also call it as a floor division operator. Okay, so floor division operator, floor division operator. Okay, so floor division operator, that means what is actual mathematically 7 by 2 means you are getting the answer as a 3.5. So floor means towards left side. Okay, so towards left side, whatever integer is the nearest integer is there, that value it returns. Okay, so this is seal, we call it as seal. Then the nearest integer towards seal is 4, and floor side means downside, and this is upside. Okay, so this is called floor division. That means it gives the nearest downside integer. Okay, smallest integer you can say for this 3.5. What is the nearest smallest integer? 3 is the nearest smallest integer. That value it returns. So that's why you will get the answer as a 3. Okay, so in other words, you will get the integer quotient, you can say. Got it? Any doubts in this? So thank you, Saket. uh, so my intention is just to help the students who are preparing for Jan 18th Infosys examination. So it would be great if some of these techniques really help them in getting through their examination. Any doubts in this? Got the meaning? Okay, so that's why you need to refresh all Python concepts very well. Okay, so these things you should know very well when writing the code. Okay, so after getting the logic mathematically like this, you need to work out on paper, even if it takes 1 hour, half an hour, 1 hour. Okay, so thoroughly you should work out the logic on paper like this. Then it would become easy to generate the actual code. Okay, so otherwise what happens? No, you stuck up with uh, some of the test cases failed. Okay, and you won't understand why those test cases, because they are hidden test cases. what is the input and output, you don't know. Okay, but every time you submit your code, you'll get some of the test cases failed. Okay, so let us write the code for this. Okay, so what is our function? Let us define the function. Say what is our function? Generate. Okay, so we need to generate a maximum integer. Okay, so then we call it as generate maximum or some. Okay, so for this, what is given? Okay, so n value is given, then also the array is given. Yes or no? What is the input for this array? Array should be given, or array we should generate. Yes. So in this case, we should start generating the array. Okay. So that's why only if number of elements, only integer n value is given as per problem definition. Yes or no? Okay. So this we remove. Then so only n value is given to us. Okay. So sometimes in code, it will be written like this. Don't get confused. Okay. So just for your clarity, I am explaining these things. Okay. So it is written like this, and don't get confused. Okay. So it is written like this. Okay. So by seeing some of these things, okay, so you don't get confused. Okay. So if it is written like this, the meaning of this is the function generate a maximum function takes an argument n which is of type integer type, and the function should return a value which is of type integer. It should return integer type. Okay, so this gives the clarity to you what value you should return. You should return a list, or you should return an integer value, or you should return a float value. Okay, so for your clarity, they provide this return value. Okay, so the code is written like this indicates the return value from this function. Okay, right? So if this is the code given here. Okay, right? So as per rules, so if n value is 0, then what you need to do? For n value is 0, that means mm, array of length n value is 0. What could be our array length? If n value is 0, then your nums array, okay, so should contain a one element, n plus 1, no, it should contain one element, that is nothing but 0. Then maximum value is 0. Okay, then if n value is equal to 1, for example, these boundary test cases you should assume. Okay, so if constraints given, for this problem no constraints are available. Okay, so but you should assume if the boundary conditions also. Okay, so if n value is equal to 1, so what should be our nums array? So your nums array length should be 2. Okay, so if it is 2, then what are the values present in this? 0 and 1. Okay, so then what is the maximum value in this case? Maximum should be 1. Okay, so these things must be handled in your program. Okay, if given some constraints, so you should check first if n is equals to 0. Okay, so then what you need to do? You need to return a maximum value which is 0, you know already. Okay, so directly you can just return a 0. You can directly return a 0. Okay, so if n value is equals to 1, okay, so then you know the maximum value, directly you return that maximum value 1. Okay, so these base cases or boundary cases you should handle. So if it is n value is greater than 1, okay, so then in our case it is 7. Okay, so then you should generate the remaining code. Okay, so n value is equal to 7. Okay, so your nums array looks like this as per our problem. Okay, so this is your nums array: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so 8 elements are there. Okay, so what you can do is so you should generate this nums array. Initially you store all zeros in this so that it becomes easy for you. Okay, so you create an array. If you create a list, what happens, nums list. If you create an empty list, okay, so then you cannot proceed. That means you need to append elements one by one. Okay, but instead of that, if you create an array like this, you can work with the indexes easily. Okay, so there is a difference between a nums list, this is list, and generating an array. Okay, so how you can generate an array, just you can see here, or you can even list is also dynamic array. Okay, so don't get confused. List is also a dynamic array. Okay, so but generate the dynamic array. Okay, so list with initially all zeros stored in that one. Okay, so how you can do that? So you can just create an array nums equals to, okay, so all zeros. Okay, so all zeros multiplied by n plus 1 times. Okay, so that means nums contains an element 0. Okay, so multiplied by n plus 1, that means repeat this 0 n plus 1 times. Okay, so that means it repeats this 0 8 times. That means now the nums array contains 8 zeros in this way. This is what internally it generates from this statement. Okay, so this statement generates this nums array in memory like this. Got it? Okay, so these small things you should know. Okay, so once you have an array, so you already know that nums of 0 is 0. Okay, and the nums of 1 is equal to 1. Okay, so these two you update. So nums of 1 is equal to 1. Now you update the nums array. Okay, so 0 and 1 you got in the array. Okay, so what you need to do, you need to iterate from I is equal to 1 onwards. Okay, so for that, what you can do, you can just write a loop here. So for I in, okay, so for I in a range starting from 1 onwards, I value should start from 1 onwards. Okay, so from 1 onwards up to which point? N by 2. Okay, so repeat up to n by 2. So as I said, n double slash 2. Okay, so this gives the value 3. Okay, so if the second argument is 3, then we said that range stops at 2 only. Range stops at 2 only. But in our calculation for I is equal to 3 also, it should calculate the elements. Yes or no? Okay, so for that purpose, you should say that, okay, so it is n by 2. Okay, so n floor division 2. Okay, so then you say plus 1, n floor division 2 plus 1. Okay, so this is the value passed to range function. It is nothing but the range of 1 comma, okay, so 4. 1 comma 4 means what are all values generated? 0 1 2 and 3. Okay, so sorry, 0 not there. It is starting from 1 onwards now. So 1 2 3, these three values are generated. Okay, so as per our calculation, I is equal to 1, I is equal to 2 and I is equal to 3. For these three values, the loop repeats. Got it? Okay, so this is how you should write the for loop here. Okay, so that means first I is equal to 1. Okay, so then what you need to do, you need to generate the even index. Okay, so 2 into I value you should check. Okay, so first you check whether 2 into I value is less than n or not. So if 2 multiplied by I, okay, so if it is less than or equals to n, then only you should do this. Okay, so you should do these calculations when this 2 into I value, 2 multiplied by I value is less than or equal to n. Okay, as per our condition, just see here, as per this condition. you should check this condition. Okay, so if this condition is true, then only you should use this rule. Okay, so that is what we are doing. If 2 into I less than or equals to n, okay, so then what you need to do, just you generate here. So nums of 2 multiplied by I should be equal to nums of I. Nums of I. That's it. Okay, so then what it does, 2 multiply 2 into 1. 2 less than 7, yes. So nums of 2 is equal to nums of 1. Nums of 1 contains what? 1. So then now it is updated. Nums of 2 now contains the value 1 here. Okay, so then similarly, what you need to do? Similarly, you need to check 2 multiplied by I also. Okay, so if 2 multiplied by I plus 1, okay, if this is less than or equals to n, then only you calculate this. That is what you should tell to the Python compiler. Okay, so 2 multiplied by I plus 1. Okay, so this is equals to nums of I plus nums of I plus 1. Nums of I plus nums of I plus 1. Okay, so that is how it calculates. So 2 into 1, 2, 2 plus 1 is 3. Nums of 3 is nothing but nums of 1 plus nums of 2. 1 plus 1 is 2. Okay, so this value becomes 2 here. Okay, so this value becomes 2 here. So like this it repeats, then I value becomes 2. Okay, so then I value becomes 2. Okay, so then it checks 2 2 is a 4. 4 less than 7, yes. So then nums of 4 is equal to nums of 2. Okay, so nums of 4 is nums of 2. Nums of 2 is what? 1. So this value is updated as a 1. Okay, right? So then again it checks 2 2 is a 4 plus 1, 5. 5 less than 7, yes. So then nums of 5 is nums of 2 plus nums of 3. Nums of 2, nums of 3. 2 plus 1 is 3. Okay, so this 3 will be stored here. Okay, so again it goes up. I value becomes a 3 here. Okay, so for each I value, see, range generates these 3 values. 1 we calculated, 2 we calculated. Now we are calculating for the 3 here. Okay, so for this value it is calculating. So 2 3 is a 6 less than 7, yes. Okay, so then nums of 6, okay, is equal to nums of 3. Nums of 3 contains what? 2 here. So this value is updated as a 2 here. Then 2 plus 1, 2 3 is a 6 plus 1, 7 less than or equal to 7, yes. So nums of 7 is nothing but nums of 3 plus nums of 4. Nums of 3 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. So then this value is updated as a 3 here. Okay, so like this loop repeats. No more values present here. Then the loop terminates, comes out from the loop. Okay, so once you come out from the loop, what you need to do, you need to return the maximum value from the array. So okay, so every time no need to update as per the logic. Okay, so here directly when given a list, there is a function called as max function. Okay, so this gives the maximum value present in that list. Okay, so what you need to do, you return a, okay, so directly you say you return a max of nums. The maximum value from this nums will be returned. That's it. So then it returns the output as a 3. Then in the main, if you print this, it prints the output as a 3. Got it? Any doubt in this? Any doubt in this? So let us execute this code. Okay, so let us check whether our code works fine or not. Okay, so let me open IDLE. Okay, so here quickly we'll type the code. So I define the function. Okay, so generate maximum. Okay, so n value should be passed as argument. Okay, so this you can keep this. So what is required here? What is required? Okay, so just you need to check first boundary conditions you need to check. Okay, so if n value is equal to 0, okay, so you should return a 0. Okay, so if n value is equals to 1, what you need to do, you should return a value 1. Okay, right? So otherwise you should generate values from the num. Okay, so first initialize the num with all zeros like this. Okay, so it would be better if you initialize with zeros. Okay, so otherwise unwanted values will not enter into this. Okay, so it is nothing but nums of nums is equal to 0 multiplied by how many times, what is should be the length here, n plus 1 we said, no? Okay, so it should be n plus 1. Okay, so the meaning is repeat 0 n plus 1 times in the array. Okay, that means 8 zeros will be stored in the array. Okay, so then as per rules, you implement those rules. First rule is nums of 0 is equal to 0. Okay, so then nums of 1 is equals to 1. Okay, so you may ask, already 0 we initialized, why we need to write? Okay, so this doesn't uh, uh, create any problem for uh, execution of the program. Okay, it is simple assignment, constant time it takes. Okay, so no issue if you use this assignment. Okay, so this is helpful. Okay, so as per rules you are writing the code. Okay, so that the 0 will be stored in nums of 0. Okay, right? If anything happens in this, if you write this improperly, okay, so this will take care. This will take care, and 0 will be stored in a nums of 0. Okay, right? So for rule 1, rule 2 we implemented. Okay, so then this is rule 1, rule 2 we implemented. Okay, so then from next element onwards you should generate. So for that, for I in range, okay, so for I in range from 1 to, okay, so what we said, n floor division 2. Okay, so then say plus 1, plus 1. Okay, so up to this point, then every time you check here. So 2 multiplied by I. Okay, so if this is less than or equals to n, so then you generate here. So nums of a 2 multiplied by I value. Okay, so this is equals to nums of a I. Right, so similarly you check this. Let me just copy the code. Then this time it is 2 multiplied by I plus 1. Okay, so this is nothing but 2 multiplied by I plus 1. Okay, so this should be nums of I plus nums of I plus 1. Okay, so like this it repeats the loop. Okay, so once you come out from the loop, then what you need to do, you need to return a max from the array called nums. That's it. This is your, okay, so then you write the driver code here. Okay, so this is your driver code. Okay, so in this driver code, what you need to write, what you need to write in the driver code, first you give some n value and call the function. Okay, call the function and directly you can print that value here. Okay, so for example, n value I am taking as a 7 here. Okay, so we'll take n value as a 7 and directly we'll print the value. I call the function generate maximum, generate maximum, and call by passing this n as an argument. Okay, so our function name is generate maximum. Okay, and please remember, you cannot use a variable name called as a max. Okay, so this max variable name you cannot use because it is already a predefined function. Okay, so you cannot use this as, that's why if you want to use a variable, then your variable name should be like maximum, full name you use. So predefined names you cannot use for your own variables. Okay, right. So let us uh, save this code and run the code. Now you can see the output is 3. Okay, so output it generates 3. Like this, you can just uh, give n value something like okay, so n value if I say 10. Okay, so what could be the maximum value? Just you can, then it is 4. Okay, so that means array contains 11 elements. Okay, so you can test and you can generate those arrays and manually, and you should check. Okay, so whether it is correct or not. Okay, so n value 15, then run the code. So it is 5. Okay, so like this, uh, constraints will be given. As per those constraints, you should check here. If I give n value as a 50, okay, or n value as a 500, okay, so then what could be the output? So 55 is the maximum value with the array contains 501 elements. Okay, the maximum value in that array would be 55 here. Got it? Okay. So this is simple code for the given problem. This is how you should generate the code and execute your code. See that all test cases are passed. So let me show the output to you. What the output it has given. You can just go through the output here. So first n value 7, it has given the output as 3. Okay, so then next n value 10, it has given this. Okay, 4. For n value 15, it has given 5. For n value 500, it has given the output as a 55, like this. Okay, so when you run the code, these are the outputs we got. Got it? So tomorrow we will try to solve a problem related to trees dynamic programming. Okay, so that before you appear for your examination, you will get some idea how to solve tree related problems or dynamic programming related problem. Okay, so those who are not good at data structures. Okay, so still if you feel you required the data structure concepts to be reviewed. Okay, so for those students I am trying to help them by starting a 30 days data structures and algorithms using Python training. Okay, so from 21st January onwards. Okay, so I'll share the link in the group. So please join the WhatsApp group and Telegram group so that you will get all updates and the timings of the batch that is going to start. So thank you one and all.